It all started on a chilly October Saturday evening. My friend Jake and I were hanging out at my place, looking for something exciting to do. We were both the kind of people who loved a good scare, the kind who couldn't resist the thrill of the unknown. As we sat in my dimly lit living room, the idea suddenly struck me. "Hey Jake," I said. "You know that old abandoned amusement park down by the Whispering Woods in the outskirts of town?" Jake's eyes widened with curiosity. "You mean that one that's supposed to be haunted?" he asked. I nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, exactly that one. I heard stories about it being haunted by the people who died in the accident." Jake grinned. His sense of adventure ignited. "So, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking we should pay it a visit tonight," I replied, a mischievous smile spreading across my face. Jake didn't need any convincing. He was as eager as I was to embark on this late-night adventure. We quickly gathered some essentials: flashlights, our jackets, and a small backpack with snacks and water. As we stepped out into the chilly night air, the moon was hidden behind thick clouds, casting an eerie darkness over the town. We knew that finding the old amusement park might not be as easy as we thought, especially in the pitch-black night, but we were determined to give it a shot. We'd heard rumors that the park was closed down years ago after a tragic accident on one of the rides. A roller coaster that derailed. It killed 25 people. Rumors said it had been haunted ever since, and nobody dared to go near it, especially after sunset. But Jake and I weren't the type to believe in ghosts. We just thought it would be a grand adventure on a regular old Saturday night. We walked for what felt like hours, using our flashlights to navigate through the maze of deserted streets. The further we got away from the town, the quieter it became, and the only sounds we heard were the rustling of leaves in the wind and the distant hooting of an owl. Finally, just when we were about to give up and head back, we stumbled upon a broken-down fence covered in vines and weeds. Beyond it, we could make out the faded letters of a sign that read, "Whispering Woods Amusement Park." This was it. We finally found it. Climbing over the fence, we entered the park grounds, our flashlights revealing a scene straight out of a horror movie. Rides that had once been filled with laughter and joy were now lifeless and overgrown with weeds. The Ferris wheel creaked ominously in the wind, and the carousel stood eerily still, its painted horses looking like they were waiting for something. Despite the eerie atmosphere, we pressed on, curiosity driving us deeper into the park. We couldn't help but feel like explorers in a forgotten world. The sound of our footsteps echoed in the silence, and our breaths hung in the cold night air. As we approached what looked like an old funhouse, our flashlights caught glimpses of faded clown paintings and chipped mirrors. The entrance beckoned us with a sense of foreboding, but we couldn't resist the urge to see what lay inside. With trembling hands, I pushed open the creaky door, and the musty smell of old wood and dust hit us like a wave. Inside, the walls were lined with distorted mirrors that made us look tall, short, fat, and skinny all at once. It was disorienting, to say the least. We moved further into the funhouse, the distorted reflections of our own faces leering at us from all directions. It was like being trapped in a carnival hall of mirrors, and the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes frightened us. Just as we were about to turn back and exit the unsettling place, a faint, eerie melody filled the air. It sounded like an old-fashioned calliope, the kind that played cheerful tunes at amusement parks. Only, this tune was anything but cheerful. It was slow, melancholic, and it sent a chill down our spines. We exchanged nervous glances, our flashlights revealing the uncertainty of each other's eyes. What was going on? We had heard no one else in the park, and there was certainly no power to play the music. The tunes grew louder, echoing through the funhouse, and it seemed to be leading us deeper into these eerie corridors. Curiosity got the best of us, and we followed the creepy melody, our footsteps echoing with each step. It was as if the funhouse itself was drawing us in, luring us deeper into its depth. And that's when we heard it. A faint, distant giggle. It was the unmistakable sound of a child's laughter. But there was something off about it, something chilling. We exchanged terrified glances, realizing that we might not be alone in the funhouse after all. Jake and I stood frozen, our flashlights trembling in our hands as the eerie melody continued to guide us deeper into the funhouse. The distant childlike giggle seemed to taunt us, growing closer with each step we took. The funhouse corridors twisted and turned, leading us through a maze of mirrors that distorted our reflections into grotesque shapes. It felt as if the walls were closing in on us, and the air grew colder with each passing moment. As we navigated through the labyrinth halls, I couldn't shake that the feeling of being watched grew even stronger. Shadows danced in the corners of our vision, and the oppressive atmosphere made it hard to breathe. But we pressed on for some reason that to this day I can't explain. Finally, we reached a room unlike any other we had encountered in the funhouse. It was a circular chamber filled with mirrors on all sides, each reflecting our terrified expressions back at us. In the center of the room stood a small, beautiful mirror, framed in faded gold. The haunting melody reached its crescendo, and the room seemed to spin around us. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I stared into the small mirror. In its reflection, I saw something that sent a jolt of fear through my body. A ghostly figure, dressed in a tattered clown costume, stood behind us, its pale face painted with a twisted grin. It reached out with skeletal fingers towards my right shoulder. I froze, looking straight into the mirror. Its touch sent a shock of icy cold through me. I screamed, jolted back and turned around to see whatever it was that had touched my shoulder. There was nothing there. In a panic, we made a run for it, blindly navigating the twisting corridors of the funhouse. The chilling laughter echoed behind us, growing louder. As we burst out of the funhouse, we were greeted by the sight of the abandoned amusement park bathed in the pale moonlight. The park was no longer silent. Eerie whispers filled the air, and faint footsteps echoed in the distance. We knew that we had to get out of here, and fast, but the park seemed determined to keep us trapped within its decaying confines. The path that had led us in now seemed to have vanished, replaced by a maze of overgrown hedges and twisted trees. Panic set in once more as we frantically searched for the exit. The laughter continued to haunt us, echoing from all directions. It was as if the very walls of the amusement park were alive, mocking our attempts to escape. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, we stumbled upon a rusty gate, partially hidden by the overgrown foliage. With every ounce of strength, we forced it open and tumbled out onto the deserted road beyond. Breathing heavily, we realized that we had escaped the clutches of the haunted amusement park, but the memory of the ghostly clown figure and its chilling laughter still lingered, haunting our thoughts as we made our way back home. We made a vow never to return to that place, but we couldn't shake the feeling that something from the park had followed us. In the days that followed, we experienced strange and terrifying events, objects moving on their own, and our nights filled with nightmares. The memory of that fateful night still makes us shudder with fears, a reminder that some places are best left undisturbed.